Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Barry Darius.
And your girl Esther Darius.
And this is B&E'shouse,
where we establish fun, fulfillment, and foundation in your life and marriage. And today, what are we talking about, babe?
So today, we're going to be talking about sex, and more sex.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of sex.
Not enough.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, well, you know.
So, I'm sorry. If you like what you heard and would like to know more about what the heck we're about to talk about, please press subscribe and hit the bell for any notifications of things B&E'shouse related.
Yep.
So, let's get into it. What about sex are you talking about, babe?
Let's get into it. So, we're going to talk about sex.
Okay.
In a different perspective and insightful perspective.
Yeah.
You know, to where we're gonna talk about it for both married and single people.
What do you want to say specifically about sex?
Well, what I want to say is sex is good. Sex is very good. Okay. Now, I know that.
Good.
Yeah,
Feels good.
It does feel good. It feels very, very pleasurable. But what I want to actually just kind of emphasize is that, yes, sex is good. But sex is not the most important thing in a thriving and healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Some people think it is, but it's not, right? You have other components of a healthy relationship, which includes the mental connection, the emotional connection, as well as spiritual connection.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of people, both married and single, who actually don't think that sex is important. You know, they kind of think that it's just an activity that you just do.
Yeah, and you just show up.
Correct.
Yeah.
But then there are those who feel like it's the most important. And so if they don't have it, you know, outside the confinement of a commitment, they feel like, well, then I'm never gonna be able to connect with this person, when that's not really true.
Yeah, there's just a small level of unbalance there, because you get one that's we don't get enough, and there's one that's all we do.
Yep.
And I think it's so important for us to talk about this, because when you make the statement that sex is good, it's hard for some people to take that in, because some of us grew up in certain households that are very conservative. And we hear that sex is bad first. We hear first that it's bad, don't do it. It's bad, don't do it. It's bad, don't do it.
It's bad.
And then when it's time to get married, it's good.
So
how do I navigate through this time where it's like, all I heard that it's bad, and then now I hear that it's good, and now I'm married, now I have to already know how to be, you know, pleasurable and desirable and do all these things. And on top of that, then we have certain societal things that people say, right? Then we hear stuff like, I'm a sexual being.
Ooh.
You know, so when you hear So when you hear stuff like that, it's almost like saying, like, we don't know if that's whether good or bad, but there's this assumption that I have to feed this appetite.
You like know? It's uncontrollable. Like I can't control my desire.
And it's like food. Like I need it to survive.
It kind of gives a bad perception of that.
And then I hear other things like, oh, I need to have sex to be connected to the person. You know.
Right.
But then,
like I said before, right?
Yeah. So then, if I didn't have sex with that person, it's almost like saying, how I'm gonna know he good? You know, how I'm gonna know that she good?
You know, how you gonna know that your boy can put it in? You know what I'm saying? Can put in that work. I understand it. I understand it, but there's a few flaws with that, right?
Right. So when we hear these things and then you're trying, it's skewing the way that we see sex. It's skewing my idea of what I'm supposed to be doing as a woman, right?
Correct.
So I think it's so important for us to realize that sex is about giving. It's about receiving. It's about emotions, about intimacy. It's about being vulnerable.
Correct.
You know, there's so many things tied to sex.
Yeah.
But how is it that we find ways to kind of cut those things out, and then it's like, I just want sex.
So what you're basically saying is that there's a lot of things that society may say about sex, but it doesn't mean that it's the way to have a healthy relationship, right? Especially without the confinements of a committed relationship. Because like you said, you know, sex is giving and it's all of those things. Well, why would you just want to freely give those things, you know, at any time or situation?
Exactly.
And we want to kind of emphasize that you don't want to just kind of lay with anybody and have all these multiple partners that you're experiencing these sexual connections with, because what's going to happen is that you're going to now start creating all these expectations. You're not going to start creating this history to where for each person that you go in this sexual relationship with, you're now taking the burdens and the experiences and the connections from the last one, and you're putting them on the next person of the level of expectation you're expecting from them.
See, before a man gets married, if he's had sexual experiences, let's say he's been with this one woman, right? And let's say this one woman, just for the sake of conversation, no disrespect, but let's say this one woman is a freak. And he goes over there late at night and gets, gets his freak on. He never has any desire to marry her, but, he gets his freak on. And then let's say that this girl over here, she may not be that type of, party girl, but she's loving, you know what I'm saying? So he goes over there, and she cook him a nice little meatloaf dinner at 2 a.m, and, he goes. And then let's say he goes over here, and then let's say he's with his, maybe she was his first. You know what I'm saying? So he's got all this soul ties with her. You know what I mean? And so, and then like maybe she's, she's a good girl. You know what I'm saying? She's like, just whatever you want to do. I don't care what you want to do. Whatever you want to do. So now he's got all these 5 spirits. And he's got all these 5 different personalities that have fed 5 different appetites in him. He gets married and puts the 5 spirits on that one woman. And she's living her marriage with the weight of these 5 spirits. And every time you go to bed with her, she feel like he's not with me. He's with one of them. And if we don't go through the divine divorce of divorcing our hearts and souls from them spirits, we will never get to enjoy who God made her to be until we divorce those other spirits.
And that's not very healthy.
No, it's not. And it's almost like saying that, John did this, Tim did that, and Will did that, and now I want all that they gave me to be put on your back.
Yeah.
And it's not fair.
Yeah.
And then it's not even fair for me to try to push you to do some things that they did also. I have to allow you to figure me out, and I have to allow you to also for us to share moments together that are not replicated,
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to, recreate something that wasn't even shared with me and you.
Ultimately, like, this type of intimacy should be experienced with 2 people who have committed to one another, and more particularly marriage, right? Yeah. Because, when you get married with somebody, it's typically someone who you say, this is a person that I want to experience this journey with for the rest of my life, right? Yeah. And with that being said, when you start to, go onto this journey of, exploration with this person, there are various things that you guys start to know about each other intimately.
Exactly.
Right?
Like for me, growing up, like I said before, I didn't know what this was. I didn't know some of the ins and outs about sex. And the problem that I felt when it came to that is the fact that, yes, I thank God that I waited till marriage to have sex. Yeah. But the thing is, now I had to learn what that looked like with you. I had to learn a part of me that I never had ignited. And I don't believe that should just be given to anybody. Yeah, and
it's ironic that you said that, because even as a young boy, I was kind of fed the idea that, if you don't have sex by this particular time, if if you go to college being a virgin, then you're like, you know, lame or a loser, whatever the case may be. And I kind of fed into that, right? And I would have, you know, wished that somebody would have came and told me that that's not the, you know, that's not what dictates your manhood, number one. Yeah. And number two is that sex is something that should be sacred between two people who love one another, who are committed to one another, and who are, you know, committed to, you know, sharing the journey to one another long term. You know? And
you know what's crazy? What I heard from some friends and people that I've known is that they just wanted to have sex just to have sex.
Wow.
Nobody explained to them that there was something special about it. And like I said, society feeds this idea that it is not an experience. It is just a moment. It is just something to have. It is just something that just to feed.
You just kind of rack it up on your checklist.
Exactly.
You know?
And I've actually heard a lot of women say that had they been told, like you said, that this is sacred, that this is special, I would have waited. And no offense, some of y'all wasting y'all first time with the wrong people. Like they don't deserve it. They don't deserve your vulnerability. They don't deserve your body. They don't deserve all the things that makes you you. And they didn't even take the time to get to know you, but they get the most important part of you. Like they don't make no sense.
Now I will say this as well, because you know, even with you saying all of that, it would make it seem as if this is only pertaining to just women, and that us men, we're animals. We just want sex. All that emotional stuff is just, you know, out the window. Yeah. But in reality, what a lot of guys don't want to admit is that there has been situations where the guy had a great liking for the girl, had a great desire for the girl and wanted to commit to them. But once they engaged in that physical intimacy, you know, the woman was actually the one I was like, all right, check the deuces later. And so now their heart was broken. And then that shifted the mentality into like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna hit it and quit it. Ain't nothing attached. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys don't wanna admit that, but it's true. So it's like for both parties, you don't want to just give yourself freely to anyone.
Exactly, and you have to think about it like this. Because sex is an experience, you have to think that there should be certain avenues, there should be certain things that should be checked up before you allow somebody to get that part of you. Yeah. I don't think anything about you should be free. That's it. And remember, like what you said earlier about everybody being different.
Why buy the cow if the milk is
right? And remember what you said before about some women being different and then bringing, you know, some of the past histories. You gotta look at it as the fact of the matter is what works for her may not work for me. And we all have different erogenous zones, different things that make us feel some type of way.
Different erogenous zones. So what you're saying is that when you ultimately do get married and in the confines of marriage, which is what we're suggesting and highly recommending, is that, you know, it's not just a, you know, I'm gonna just go all out and then I'm gonna get mine and you or you get yours, but there has to be a journey of kind of figuring one another and trying and kind of asking ourselves the questions of, you know, well, first of all, what works for the both of us? You know, what works for you? What works for me? What are your different erogenous zones, right? That takes a level of exploration, and you don't want to just do that with just a whole bunch of people.
Right, and then first you figure her out, and then you done left, and now you gotta figure her out, and then you left, and then you just turn into something. So and then I'm glad you brought that up about just, you know, the exploration. Not every sexual experience has to be about the big O.
Hold up, wait a minute.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Now listen, I know some of y'all gonna act a little crazy, okay? We are not sex therapists. We're not sexual experts.
You know what?
However, research does show that she has a very great point.
Thank you. And I preference my statement, like my husband did. I'm not a sex therapist. I am not even that, I'm not anything to just tell you this is what you're supposed to do. We are just highly recommending. We are giving our opinions. We are just stating what we have seen. And we're saying that what works. If that's not what you want, it's okay. But stay with me.
We're trying to give, like I said in the very beginning, different perspective and insightful information that we've come across of how to have a healthy relationship, and more particularly how to have healthy sexual relationships. And what we recommend is within the confines of marriage. Okay.
So now back to the big O. Okay.
All right.
I know we like to do certain things, and the idea is that somebody, if not everybody, got to get home.
Right.
And I know that is what we want. I know that that's what we're pushing for. I know that it is the same. It's the same way. Like if you go into something, you know that the end result is to win this prize. So it's hard to believe that my sexual experience will not lead to that. But what I've learned is that not every sexual experience is about just solely, vaginal intercourse. Okay, I had to say all of that. Okay.
Wow.
It's not all about that.
Wow.
And I know some of you guys that probably don't agree with this, or even some women, they don't care about this, but foreplay is necessary. Okay. So just remember that it's an experience, that there are things that we can do to lead up to that moment. Not every single moment is just intercourse. And then some moments that we spend with each other can just be holding, can just be other things, can be things that can lead up to that moment. Could be certain games that we play,
Okay, you spend some game right there.
That's all I'm saying. It's just like, if we gonna do it, we can do it many ways. Okay, it's an experience.
Many ways.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. Okay. So I get what you're saying. Now there is this thing where you have like these polar opposites, right? Where you have one spouse sexual desire is higher than the other. So let's kind of talk about that for a minute. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think basically you have two people who are on two opposite spectrums. And we're talking about the fact that one wants it more than the other. One is at a level and an anticipation where they're like, I gotta get it all the time. And then there's one where there's just like, not today, hun. Not today.
I'm tired. Not today.
And it seems almost like a task. It seems like a task to them. So what I would say to people who are dealing with that, I think you really have to, of course, communicate.
Correct.
Communicate the fact that, hey, like, this ain't it. And the other thing is, I do believe that the way we're experiencing life can sometimes be a part of the way that we're experiencing sex. So remember when we said talking about like how we are leading up to sex and we're doing things to lead us up there.
You want to prime the body.
Priming the body.
Prime the body.
And just like with women, we love foreplay. So if you're all day giving me like love notes, and text messages, like you're getting me started. You're putting the heat on just a bit, you know? And I think in order for that person to help one who's up here and the other one that's down there to kind of meet at the level, I think the person that's really like high expectation, gotta meet your spouse kind of. And halfway.
I think even with the priming bodies, I think that what people have to kind of understand is that not just the whole foreplay, but just kind of understanding like if I'm at work all day, or I have family issues, or I have these insecurities, or I'm not feeling like I can trust you. Like all these components,
they all play a part.
Play a part into the, experience of physical intimacy.
And usually
you can't just show up.
Yeah, and then usually with women, we need to be seen, we need to be felt, we need to be heard. And if we didn't feel that all week, I don't feel like being in the moment where all of that comes in play simultaneously is where I want to be.
Yeah, and I
don't want to be there.
And I think even with men as well, like, we typically, when we feel a sense of accomplishment, that's when we feel like we're at most, optimum desire, for the physical intimacy. So if we're, things haven't really been done, or we feel like, we're kind of like things are just not going the way that we want to, that could also play in the part of just, the pleasure of it all. Like you said, it's an experience. And when we say experience, guys, like we mean like everything that's involved. Right, we mentioned before that there's different erogenous zones. Yeah. Right, we're mentioning that you want to cater to all these aspects that could cater to the bedroom. Exactly. Right, we want to talk about asking our spouse like, what is it that triggers you? What is it that turn-ons? What are your turn-ons? What is it that stimulates you? You want to ask these questions because we don't want to assume.
And I don't think it's fair, and I know we didn't say that, but I don't think it's fair that one partner has to put in all the work and the other partner doesn't.
True.
So, but that is not just in the bedroom. It's also the priming to the experience.
Yeah.
Don't sit here and make it seem like, well, I don't feel like I accomplished anything, so you ain't getting none.
Ooh.
I don't feel like you did anything for me this week, so you ain't getting none. You can't use sex as a weapon. You can't use it as and you can't also give it as a reward.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not a dog. It's not a treat. It's something that already belongs to us. It's for us.
Yeah.
Now, neither party should be doing that. So if one is here and the other one's there, let's meet somewhere. Let's find out what it would take for that partner to come here and find out what it would take the other partner to come here. It's all about communication.
Yeah, and as you can see, my wife is very, very passionate about this. I believe that I'm doing a good job. Am I not, Ray?
He's doing an excellent job.
Points for your boy. Now, listen. This is very important, guys, because we want this to be a little bit informative, but we also just kind of want to be able to have that wheel turn, have that gear turn, and kind of think about all these different aspects. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because all of these things that we're talking about. You don't want to have it multiple times. You don't want to have multiple partners, and you want to be able to establish that connection with someone that you trust, someone that you're committed to, and someone to whom you can say, this is the person that I'm willing to spend my future with. Yeah.
And I think we also have to realize in marriage that it is both of our responsibility to help each other feel comfortable with sex and having sex.
Yes.
It is both of our responsibility. It is not your job to go in and do everything. Yeah. And it's not my job to be everything. So it's both of our job. It's not, and when I say both of our jobs, you gotta be working, all right? So if one person doing the motion in the ocean, you don't just sit there and be like, give me everything. Meh.
Correct. Correct.
You gotta be a part of that experience. You gotta be a part of getting them off and you getting yours too.
Correct. And like you said before, it's an experience. So guys, you gotta, you have to want to experience one another. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Know one another. What are the different erogenous zones for both the woman and the man? I think some men, we just think we got one. Maybe two places.
There's only one. I feel like there's only one for men, but hey, I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why sex can be more enjoyable if we don't just look at it as a task. We don't just look at it as an item. We don't just look at it as recreational, and we don't just look at it as this thing that society just kind of feeds us. But we kind of look at it as something that two people can enjoy and can experience with one another.
Emphasis on the experience.
And it can be pleasurable,
And one thing I want to make sure is that, guys, when it comes to sex and just in anything, when we do it, let's not misuse it. Let's not abuse it.
Correct.
And let's not take something that is sacred and beautiful and make it harsh, hurtful, and dirty.
Sex is good, but it's for an appointed time. Yes. It's for an appointed time. And more particularly towards the time and the confinement of being a committed marriage.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I would say that, you know, there's a difference between biblical mandates, right? Conviction, and what you choose to be a preference.
Yeah.
Right? And we just kind of had to have an understanding of those things, right?
And because we don't know where everyone stands, I think it's up to you to know where you stand and figure out where you place this. Because it's important to us, and it's for us a conviction. It's a biblical mandate to us, but it may not be for you.
Right.
So we want you to take this and really think about, okay, I want to be able to be that person sexually in my relationship within marriage.
Correct.
And I want to just say one thing for you guys with the communication. Don't be harsh with your words. Don't hurt the other person.
No.
Be willing to speak to the person. And even if you have to say something during the time of sex, say it in a way where the person can be receptive and we can work on it while we're doing it. That's it.
Yeah, correct. You know, and again, this is all to have a thriving and healthy relationship.
And
Now you may take some things with a grain of salt and be like, well, I like what they say here. I like, you know, well, again, it is your choice, but we want to be able to, like I said in the beginning, just give perspective and insight into sex, and more sex.
I low-key feel like you just like saying that.
I do. I be saying that all the time around the house.
For no reason. For no reason, apparently. So if you like what you saw today with B&E'shouse and us talking about sex, and you like all the topics that we have to give you, please subscribe, you know, be a part of this family, be a part of what it is that we're doing, and please comment below. Comment below. Comment below.
Subscribe.
Comment below.
Subscribe.
Because we need to know if what we're doing is right, and we want to hear what you got to say. So that's all we have today, and I hope you got a little something about sex. There's more sex.
And I was the only one. Okay.
I want to follow. All right, whatever. Peace.
Peace.